banned a single gun. He spent over $60 million to fail to take a single gun off the road. He's had to give it an amnesty to reverse all of the announced gun bans that he did, standing in front of a cartoon image of a scary Hollywood-style gun. And what has been the sum total of all of this? A 116% increase in gun violence since he became Prime Minister. When will he realize that banning Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle is not going to stop crime, that instead we actually have to lock up the criminals?
Instead of trying to scare Grandpa Joe, he should be honest with Grandpa Joe in that we have banned assault-style weapons, and already we've seen thousands of assault-style weapons collected and destroyed. These are things that we are doing that the Conservative Party and its funders, the gun lobby, continue to stand against. They will re-legalize assault-style weapons in this country, unfreeze the market on handguns. That's what they promised the gun lobby, and they hide behind Grandpa Joe because they can't admit it out loud.
Mr. Speaker, he admitted he doesn't even know what an assault rifle is, let alone able to ban one. He spent $60 million, and his government admits they didn't take a single firearm off the road. There's been a 116% increase in gun violence under his leadership, and 99% of the shipping containers that come in are not inspected at all, even though the previous Conservative government increased the number of frontline border officers. Why is it that the Prime Minister is so busy trying to protect turkeys from hunters that he doesn't protect Canadians from criminals?
I thought that was an interesting exchange. Let me ask you a question, Rod. On the one hand, Pierre Poilievre says $60 million spent on a gun buyback that has not yet bought back a gun. And on the other hand, Trudeau said, quote, thousands of guns collected and destroyed. Can both of those things be true? Is the government collecting and destroying firearms? Is Trudeau misremembering or making something up? What are the facts?
No, Trudeau is lying. Lying has been a tactic for them since the beginning. And finally, Canadians are starting to catch on. That's why they're being completely decimated in the polls, because people typically don't like to be lied to. So I believe that the number is up somewhere around $70 million now that they've spent on trying to design this buyback. And what the buyback is that they say is rolling out now is for retailers, right? So retail businesses and distributors that were caught with all of this unsellable stock. Now, I attended a technical briefing with Public Safety 1 week ago when they rolled this ban out, and they had talked about their retail buyback pilot project that was completed with 4 retailers. So I'm curious how 4 retailers, like I know retailers in my business, right? Lots of them. And, you can have some people that have, 15 rifles that have been banned, right, for the last 5 years that they can't dispose of. Or you could have maybe a distributor that might have a couple of hundred, maybe. So I don't know how he gets to thousands with 4 retailers, but nonetheless, he might be counting people that maybe have passed away and have lost the opportunity to get compensated for those firearms. The RCMP just seizes them. Anyway, I don't think that there's any way that they've bought back thousands of firearms. I think it's a total lie, and they're trying to use this for political gain and lying about the actual reality of it, so they don't suffer any of the undesirable consequences of bringing up the gun debate. I don't know.
I'm going to swear here, but it's not actually meant as a swear. One of my favorite little books, and I used to give it out as a gift. It's about this big. It's a tiny book. It's almost a booklet. And I'm going to swear because there's a swear in the title of the book. It's called On Bullshit. And it's a brilliant book. I had the pleasure of meeting the author. And he said, there's so much bullshit in the world, but we don't actually, you'd think we would study it. What is bullshit? What are the different species of it? And he said, by the way, and I'm going to say BS now instead of the full word. He said, BS doesn't necessarily have to be a lie. It's just something you say to get through the moment. It's this great little book called On BS. And I think that's Trudeau. I think Trudeau is saying something. I don't think he read his briefing notes. I think he just is saying something. He doesn't know if it's true or not. He's not an expert in any policy. The only policy he's ever really cared about was marijuana legalization, and that was years ago. I think Trudeau doesn't even know if he's telling the truth. He probably heard that gun buyback stat somewhere. Maybe it was an American program in California. Like, I think that he just comes by BS so naturally. He probably believed it in the moment because he heard it somewhere. I think a lot of people just tune him out, though. They hear that voice and they just tune him out. But what's interesting to me, I mean, Trudeau's always been a BSer on a lot of things. And the press gallery never holds him to account. Like, when was the last time they've ever held him to? They don't fact check Trudeau or Chrystia Freeland. They save that for right-wing politicians or Donald Trump. But watching that exchange, Rod, I'm sort of impressed that Pierre Poilievre is leaning into it. He's not afraid of this issue. He's not, being vague. I mean, you can tell me you do this for a living. You're the CEO of the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. It looks to me like Pierre Poilievre isn't being mau-maued here. He's not being pushed around by the scaremongering. He knows his facts better than Trudeau's BS. So what I really take away from that exchange is Poilievre's sort of strong on this file. Am I wrong?
Well, I think he is. And I mean, obviously there's so many people. We represent a lot of people, plus we interact with a lot of people. And you're always going to have this core of people saying, like, Poilievre's not going to do any of these things. He's the other side of the liberal coin. They're all on the same side. And all that. And it's like, well, I've met Pierre a few times, and I also I watch what people do a lot less than I watch what they say. And there are people in the lobbying community, I think we might be one of them, that told Pierre way back in the day when he first became leader, like, don't talk about guns. It's not going to be beneficial to you. And us as a community, I don't care if you don't talk about guns. Just make sure that you roll all this back because it's morally wrong, and it's actually dangerous to public safety because it takes every dollar spent on gun buybacks is a dollar not spent on actual, reducing violence. And he did not take that advice. He's like, no, I'm going to talk about it because if you understand the issue enough, which I don't think the other conservative leaders did, if you understand the issue enough, there's really nothing to hide from because our side is actually factually and morally right, and they are lying and can get caught in countless lies. So I think he's really doing two things. He's being very courageous. He's following through with his promises to every community that he's promised something to, and he's making sure that he's prepared to have these conversations and respond to these statements by the Liberals, which just shows that he's willing to put in a lot more work maybe than some other people that have taken a stab at that job.